went over the setup, right, which was on side B. And just to clarify, I know Lydia probably mentioned this, but the first part of the figure 4 here is toe and knee press, okay? The only reason my leg is up under here is to keep her ankle from digging into her leg, okay? Now, I want to explain that the only people we teach it this way to are Americans, okay, and Western students. And the reason why Thais don't do it this way, because their legs are not that sensitive, okay? When classically, the way I was taught to do this is it's like this, and you just push the toes and the knees right to the floor, okay? But I found very, very quickly that most of my American students and clients were hypersensitive to these points on the knee, and they couldn't tolerate it. And so I wasn't able to get the extension on the toe or the knee. And so we did this little accommodation, which is just to take some of the pressure of the ankle off of the leg above. But I'm just telling you this as a disclaimer that technically that's not the traditional posture. The traditional posture was to drive the toes to the floor and drive the knee to the floor at the same time. Okay? That's actually the yoga asana. Okay? So in your personal practice, if you, as you work on this, as you become less sensitive to the pressure here on this point above the knee, if you can get out from under it and get more of this posture, this is actually more correct. I'm just giving you, that as a little bit of a disclaimer. Okay, and then to come out from this, to keep from straining, remember it's always push on the knee as you lift the foot. Don't try to just lift both at the same time. And already, from my perspective, this makes kind of like an arrow, and it tells me which leg to step forward with strongly. So I step up into my lunge. So I always know which side to go to, because it's the side that this little arrow is pointing toward. Okay? Now, if her arm was down a little bit, I'll just ease it up, so I don't have to step on her arm unless she's being bad. A bad client. So as I move into position. Now, it's very common that when you first come up, you're kind of in this position. Okay, this is not the working position. You have to adjust. Right. All the pressure for this comes from the lunge. So I can't really lunge and create downward pressure in this position. I'm too close. Okay? It's a leverage position, which means I have to move back until the round part of the back of the ankle is on top of my shoulder, and then I lean forward. Clearly, it's on top of my shoulder. The heel's not on my collarbone. The heel's not in the middle of my breast or chest. Okay? It's not in my face. Okay? It's on top of my shoulder. So I have to bend over till it gets there, one way or the other. All right? And then I adjust. Now this adjustment's necessary because there may be some height differential between us. Okay? She's nice and long legs, so it's not really an issue with Marissa here. Okay? Now, a couple of things. Where does this hand goes top of the foot right here, and I don't have to get a death grip on the ankle. All I do is hold the foot. This is my handlebar. This is my handlebar. In other words, I can drive in or I can drive out. In other words, I can steer. That's what this hand is for, is steering. It corrects the angle of the knee. So now I don't have to worry about the knee. Now, as I move forward, I'm not going to push down at all. I'm going to look straight ahead, this way, because it's a forward lunge. Now also notice it's a good lunge, so that means that my front foot is pointing straight ahead. There's no twist. If I have this foot turned out, then the medial collateral ligament is what's leading into the pressure, and that's the weakest point on the knee. I don't want the medial knee to lead forward. I want the patella to lead forward. So I have to turn the foot in, make sure it's nice and straight. Okay? Now, I'm not going to push down at all. I'm going to lunge forward and drop my weight into the point. You see? Now, because of this positioning, that means the weight's going straight up and down. Okay? I'm not pushing up and in. I'm going straight up and down. And all the weight's coming from my core, from my belly, from my hada. Okay? And it's 1, a little exhale every time, 2, and 3, and 2, and 1. There's no reason to bend over other than to keep this foot on top of my shoulder. I'm kind of on an angle. If you look from the side, you should see a fairly straight line from the back of my knee to my shoulder where her foot is. And if you see that, I'm in the right position. For her, I'm on the most posterior central aspect of the back of her upper leg, and the first point is right on top of the sit bone. So basically it's on top of the pelvis in this angle. I'm flattening her hips and pelvis to the floor. Now, this knee is kind of important. When I go to move forward, I don't want this knee to be inside of her shoulder. If it goes inside, what happens when I add pressure, especially on point number 2, is I start to bind the groin. Okay? I don't want to bind the groin. I want the hips to open, not to close. See, knee moving toward the center is closing the pelvis. I want to open the pelvis. So I'm going to move it out. It's better to be over the shoulder or even a little out than it is to be in. So if you have a choice in this position, go out a little bit. Don't go in. Okay, so I did my 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then I'm going to change position, and it's always me first, then the client. So 1, 2, change. I'm ready to go. You see? Nice and smooth transition. In the southern method, we go low, low, high, high. Okay? In northern, we go low, high, low, high. It's very similar, though there's different transition. Okay? Now, after I've done side B, 1, little exhale, don't hold your breath. 3, 2, 1, leave it there, and stand up. Again, I wonder which side do I go to?
Arrow.
Look down. Maybe that way. Okay, so I move over here. Now, I'm going to show you, because we have a mixed class, CTP1 and CTP2. So I'm going to show you the 1 variation, and I'm going to show you the 2 variation. Okay? 1 is easy, is the easy roll, which we call the lever. See, I move up as far as I can without stepping on her arm or over. And by the way, this actually is a working position. Okay? This is a working position. Right? We're just not choosing to emphasize that right now. Also, be careful. See this little roll of skin right here under the arm? Try not to step on that. It just pinches and doesn't really add to the quality of your...
Trigger the fight or flight mechanism.
Yeah, it'll trigger the fight or flight. Probably mostly the fight.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the lever. What's the lever? It's this long leg. Now, what does the lever do? The lever rolls the sacrum and low back. It's a sacral low back rock. That's what it is, okay? So I'm just going to do this. 1 and 2. Now, also, notice as I do the lever, here's what I don't do. 1, 2. There's no reason for me to go anywhere. I'm just moving her leg. At the top of 3, I step across and behind and twist forward into a front stance, orienting the foot right on my navel. Of course, if you're working on one of the Chicago Bulls, this foot's going to be about in front of your nose, okay? Wherever it goes, all right? If it's on your face, just push your belly out a little more, and it won't be. That's all you have to do, literally. No, if it's really long, you just kind of push your pelvis forward, and now it's not in your face. It's easy, okay? Get a hold of the toes, okay? Always come from the outside of the foot, and lever those toes down. Now, here's the opening on the arch side. That tells me where the elbow comes from, okay? So the elbow is coming from the arch in. And then I'm going to elbow press down the center of the foot while I keep some tension on the toes. And when I get to the top, I hold for 5 or until she starts singing opera, whichever comes first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3. All right, but anyway, basically 5 is good. All right, and I only work that one time because I'm using the elbow, and the elbow is a big tool, and I get a lot of bang for my buck. And you'll notice that's kind of a trend that when we use the elbows, we don't just go elbow, 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 elbow. We just kind of go 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, done. All right, so I'm literally thinking like every time I press with my elbow, it's worth like 5 points that I would have worked with my thumb. Okay, it's kind of a value there. Right, so I don't work the line 3 times, I just work it 1 time. And if you look right here on the cleft of the foot, that's the last elbow point right there. Now only do this while you have tension on the toes. So I'm actually putting this line under tension to work on. Put a line under tension and then work points on it. Okay, that's a Thai thing. Most other systems release lines and work deeply that way. We actually do exactly the opposite sometimes. We actually put the line under tension and then work points on it. I think it's to get your attention. Because pretty much, if it's me, that's what it does. It gets my attention. When you put that line under stress and then you start working points, I am there. I'm not off in my head somewhere. I'm not thinking about what's for lunch. I'm just thinking about that, whatever that is, okay? So it draws the consciousness to the line. It draws the consciousness to the point. I actually think that's the big benefit of doing that. All right, so then after I do that, I'm finished. All I'm going to do is I'm going to release the tension, reach down, grab the big toe on the inside, pull it up, and very gently let the other leg go down. I'm not going to force it. So do not push the leg down, okay? Because you can create a strain injury that way on the inside or the medial part of the knee. Then you just walk around to the other side, situate yourself, and do the lever. Nice and easy. 1. Now also part of what I'm doing with this lever is I'm creating the space I'm going to move into with my forward stance, okay? So I go 1. So on 2, and 3, don't come out of 3. Don't come out and then try and get around this foot. I can't get around her leg because I dropped it in the way. So I want to move it out of the way, keep it there, and then look, I just step straight across. Chink. Okay? Fewest number of steps. Take a walk in the park. La 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 la. You know, and then try. Wait, now I forgot which is, you know. And sometimes when I watch students practicing, that's what my eyes see. Like you took a walk in the park in order to. I was just step across. Okay? And literally, now when the leg's down here, I can't. She's in the way. The end of line 3, oh, no big deal. Well, how do I get facing that way? The heels move. And you're not there until here. The front leg has a slight bend. See, I'm flat-footed. My heels are down. So don't be all up on your toes while you're trying to push down. Okay? So you're flat-footed, low center of gravity. And see, she's very stable here. Technically, I don't have to use my hands to hold that foot there. Okay? But I do. Really my favorite. Is just bend the leg. Now I get more of a roll in the low back. That's not bad because that's actually what I was trying to do with the lever, right? You see, I'm combining emphasis Keep that leg from collapsing. This is not where I'm at, although it's another position. Here. And that little roll is actually what I want. Okay? Okay, great. Hand me that on.